Hey everyone, Holly Tack here with another interview as part of the Get Clients Now Summit. This summit is all about how you can leverage your email list to get your next client. And I'm super excited today to have Kathryn Brown with us.
Hey.
Hey Kathryn.
Hey.
I should have said that. Hey, we were already talking, so I'm like, oh, I already said hi. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're here to talk about that topic, how you can use your email list to get more clients. And, I really wanted to have Kathryn on this summit because I love how she helps with productivity and system strategy and really like figuring out how to do the right thing for where you're at in your business, because I think that's one of the most common things that, there's just so much info out there that people at any level of business can get distracted and not know what they should be doing to meet their goals. So I think Kathryn's work is super important and I'm excited to have her talk about it. But first, I would love you to just share a little bit about you and what led you to doing this work.
It's one of those funny kinds of things when you reflect back, like, how did I first start doing this? And you're just like, what was the thread leading back to the decision to say, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to have my own business. And, the path, when you look at it, it all makes perfect sense. I've had, a background in corporate training. I've done OEM sales. I've done education. I've had all these things. But the common thread that tied everything together was that I love to make things better. I'm an improver to the core. Like, I always see there's a better way to do this. And finding the simplest way to get a better result is what I love to do. Because we tend to overcomplicate things. So I would say my entree into the entrepreneurial world came in 2014. I got introduced to somebody online. I was like, I had no idea such a thing existed. And so I did a deep dive and I'm just like, okay, productivity is something I have done all my, time in corporate and in my own personal life and all that. And I thought, what? Productivity, and I find ways to develop my own systems, whether I'm creating art, because I'm a mixed media artist. I start my paintings off the same way every time, or how I start, approach my week or my day. Everything has like a container, and it just felt like, okay, productivity and systems, that's the way I'm going to go. So that is really where it all started.
That's awesome. I love how I can specifically remember whose Facebook ad I saw that kind of got me into the online world and knowing what that was. So I remember that.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, it just sucks you in.
It does. Yeah. And especially when it had really not come to the fore like it is now, right? It's just like, I had no idea. I'm just like, how could I not have any idea? It was not that long ago. But yeah, definitely.
I know. And I love how, you were saying that elements of what you do now are things that you've done all along. Because I think that's something that I can definitely relate to. And I think other people, like, especially if you're in the place of not knowing exactly what you want to offer, that's a good place to look to start.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's looking at what are you really, really good at and what you really, really enjoy. Marry those together and you've got a good starting point.
Totally. So let's get into your email tip, which I'm excited about because it's not something anyone else has shared. So go ahead and tell us, what's one way that you've used your email to get clients?
So one of the best ways, I think, to really introduce yourself to a new prospect, a new client, is through a little taste of what you already do and have something that is both valuable and actionable. So I love to do mini courses and sometimes they may end up being like a free 5-day event. I've done things like that. And then I've converted it into a mini course that they get for a limited time. So this gives them an idea of how I work, kind of the way I approach the work that I do, and it gives them something really tangible that they can sink their teeth into, and they can say, oh yes, this woman's for me, or oh no, I don't, it's not for me. And they get a quick, a quick understanding of what I'm about and the results that I can help provide. And I have found that's been a really great way for me to do a couple things. One is to really introduce myself to someone new to me. and to get a really great first impression for them. So they can, they know I'm legitimate. They know that I know what I'm talking about. They can, if they do the work, they get a result. And then you have the ability to leverage it again. You can use it as a bonus. You can use it in different ways. You can come in and be a guest expert in someone's community. But once you have that little, entree into your business and what you can offer, it's an asset. It's a creative asset that you now own and can be using in so many different ways.
Yes, I totally agree. I think there's a lot of missed opportunity because it's always better to get something out there to get people to opt into your list. But when you can make it something that's like over time in some way,
yes,
I think it just warms the people that do use it, warms them up even more.
For sure.
I've done a challenge before, and that was like way more successful for me to like get interest in working with me at the end. I've done it twice actually. So I have 2 instances where that worked really well.
Absolutely.
And it sounds like the mini course is similar. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and I think that there's so many different ways, right? You can go ahead and introduce yourself and have an opportunity for people new to you to get a sense of what you're about. But don't wait for that perfect moment, create something that is valuable that they can get a result with, whether it's an email series or even a short course. Don't wait.
Yeah. And how I usually, if the question's coming up in my head, like, okay, well then what do I make it about? And what I usually do is think about it as an opportunity to make somebody a better client for you.
I love that. Yes.
Yeah. Is that what you do? Like, how do you decide what you want to break into that mini course?
The mini courses that I've done are usually like the foundational things I would like a client to already know or understand or have an awareness around before I would even bring them in as a one-to-one client. And so these are like what I would think about as core content, core things that I believe are really important for us to be having the same vocabulary, understanding when I say this is what it means. Having a shared experience so that when they reach out and say, hey, I think I'm ready, I'm ready for that next step, their groundwork's already been laid. You can refer back to information that you guys have already discussed, within that email course or that small offer. So it's a great way to, just to kind of ramp up more quickly than trying to onboard someone and not have that shared experience already.
Yeah. And it can even be, to your point, repurposed as like a bonus. If somebody doesn't do that, but then they do sign up with you or something like that happens, you can be like, here's your pre-work, you're so organized.
Absolutely. And I have to say that has come up more and more over time. I see like when you do one-to-one work, you see the things that your clients are needing, right? And then you start creating them. And then you start building them into your whole onboarding process. And your client experience becomes even better over time.
Yeah, I love that. And so you said something, or did you say something about having it be like a timed thing where there's some urgency around it? How do you do that?
Well, you know what? I have done it a couple different ways, and I can say you can totally do it old school if you want, where you give it, you use something with like a mail email timer. There's lots of different timers you can pop into the email so that they say on this date it expires. And so that would be the video content that you would have expire by a certain time. And you can tie that in with whatever video host that you're using so that it actually turns off. Or if you're running tight on a budget, you can certainly stay up until 11:59 on that night and turn it off yourself. So, don't overcomplicate it. Yeah. Make it easy. You can always refine and, have it evolve and level up the next time you run it. But I would say shorter time frames puts people into that momentum of taking action because they don't want to lose out on the access. And then, on the back end, if it's appropriate, you can always make it a small offer saying, I'm sorry that you weren't able to access it during the free access, but if you're interested, here you go, or as a little paid offer. So there's lots of different options if you're looking for that kind of avenue in for building your relationship with clients.
Yeah, timers really work, right?
I have tested both. I have actually I did a 5-lesson series, and I didn't use the timer. I just had it throughout the email. And then I tried it the next time I ran it. I put it with an email timer. Conversions definitely made a big difference on people taking action and accessing the material. So urgency is absolutely top of mind when it comes to creating even a free course, to give them some incentive to get started.
Yeah, definitely. Otherwise, I mean, I don't know about you, but I've definitely opted into things and never looked at them. So
Yeah, and we're not doing them any service, right?
yeah.
If we're just one more thing someone downloads, I
Hmm.
was like, what kind of service are we providing them? We want them to take action. We want them to be on that path for transformation. We want them to have a quick win and be on their way to doing whatever that next thing is. So yeah, absolutely.
And do you just give the same course to everybody, or is there ever a situation where you segment your audience or like kind of divide it into certain categories?
So the easiest way, I've done this multiple ways as I test things out, and as I've gotten better at understanding my own audience and segmenting. I have done it as simply as, hey, I've got this free event coming up. It's 5 lessons, 5 videos over 5 days. Do you want in? It's about this. They click on it. It immediately segments them. They get a notification, or it can even go to a page to opt in, if you want to do it that way. So there are different ways of doing it. It could be, if your email list is smaller, it could be as simple as they reply back and say, yeah, I'd like to be in, and you manually add them. Don't let the technology or the segmenting hold you back from offering that personalized experience, because you really can improve over time. Start where you are and do, what works best for you right now.
Yeah, I use ConvertKit for my emails, but
Mm-hmm.
there's tagging so I can,
Yeah.
like, even just recently I was like thinking about a special offer between A and B, and I just
Yeah.
put in a thing to my current list and I was like, would you rather get A or B? And then it just tagged them whatever they
It's
pick.
a beautiful thing. I use
Yeah,
Drip, and it has similar tagging and then
good.
segmenting options. And it's, I think the more individual the experience is for the person that you're interacting with through your email list, the more you build both authority, authenticity, that value that they're looking for, and they're going to stick around if you're in tune with what they need.
Totally. Yeah. So definitely, if you don't already have an email list and you're watching, I mean, a system that allows tagging, I think that's a bare minimum you should
Yeah,
do.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's something that you can get overly complicated. This is something that
Mhm.
people do. They try, oh, I've got to have this segmenting, I've got to have this going this way and that way, and I've got to tag this and tag that.
Yeah.
You know what? That's great. You don't have to get from A to Z right from the get-go. If you could start at the beginning and actually even just do the bare minimum, so you know who segmented, who said yes to that,
Hmm.
and whether it puts them into a new campaign or whatever, so that then you can continue to give them value because they said yes to that one thing that was of interest to them.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm really excited to have you on, especially because you have so much expertise around goal setting and systems and everything. And I know that when this airs, it's going to be close to the new year. So I think I would just love to hear what you have to say about goal setting. Um,
Oh yes, I love goals. Oh my
right?
gosh, we have, and here's the thing: we have this love and hate relationship with goals, right? We have
Yes.
this butterfly in the stomach kind of feeling when it comes to goal setting, like all the potential, right? What could be, the all the
Mhm.
possibilities available. And then where we tend to really have a hard time is, how do I take that goal, that bigger vision, and turn it into something that's actionable, that I can actually take action on and get a result? And this is where people either stop altogether, or they haven't quite figured out how not to make it so complicated and have it be much more sustainable. And so for me, one of the things that I think is so critical about goal setting is making sure that you really know what you want. It seems basic, right? Of course, I know what I want. I
Yeah.
know what I want. But that is where I see so many people, and I hear this all the time. People say, oh, I should do this. I should be doing that. I should. And they're using the should throughout their goal setting process. And I'm just like, what do you want? Well, I don't know. Sometimes I get that answer. I don't know what I want. And so we have to, kind of dig in and say, what is that life that it is that you're wanting to create for yourself? What does that look and feel like for you? And get to the basics of that, because other times we put like just a dollar amount, right? We want to, I want to make $100,000. Well, that's great. It's just a number. What does that mean to you? What does that represent? What is that life going to be like? Because until you get clear on that, that's step one. And step two is understanding the gap between where you are currently and that bigger vision of what you want to accomplish. Because there's nothing worse than setting a goal and it's so far out of reach that your brain no longer believes that it's possible. And it will self-sabotage you all along the way. So you got to kind of shrink your time frame into doable milestones that are going to lead you closer and closer to that bigger vision, keep you on track, straight line from A to Z, yes, but making sure that you understand where those stopping points are to check in and make sure you're still in alignment with it.
I love what you said about like with the example of, I want to make $100,000, like what's really behind that? Because when you think about it more, you could uncover something like, well, I just want that because I know if I had that much money, I could go to Italy or something, right?
Yeah.
And so then
and that's
like,
fine. And that is absolutely fine. I'm just like, well, then say that. I want to have enough money, to be able to go to Italy. I want my business to be able to be bringing that in. So going to Italy is an easy thing for me to do.
And there's probably ways to do that it may or may not take that much money or whatever, or maybe doable quicker, or if when you're, more clear about what is it that is behind that, or just having a sense of adventure, that could be it.
Oh, totally.
So you could do that just around your own, like where you live now, just by doing like weekend trips or something and start feeling it right away.
Exactly. Because when we set goals, hopefully we're looking for a feeling. We want to feel that, whatever that is. So sometimes our goals, like this trip to Italy, number one, we don't even know how much it costs to go, so we have this idea, like you said, it could be actually much more easy for us to attain that than what we thought, but we don't know how much it costs. So, I need 100,000 for that to make, happen. And then, of course, I love to build in like touchstones to my bigger vision and the things that I want, and have those close to me. Like we have this desire, my husband and I, to spend 3 months every summer in Newport Beach, California. We've lived there. We love that, time there. We'd love to do that every year. Is it possible right now? Probably not. However, I have touchstones all around me. I have a stone, I have shells, I have sand. And when I need to reconnect with that feeling of what I'm working toward, that's what I do. I pull out that sand. I smell that, shell. You can still smell it, right?
Yeah. That's awesome. So it's like, so I could have a picture of Italy or something if that was my goal, and I can like feel connected to it on a daily basis.
Exactly. You could take a cooking class. You could start, you could invest in a really nice Italian handbag, something that is representative of Italy for you, whatever that represents. I think we cheat ourselves out of the feeling that we want to have by waiting until we have whatever the financial look is for that. And I think we should be experiencing it sooner by building in these kind of little touchstones along the way to keep us in alignment with that bigger vision that we're looking for.
What do you think about in terms of like, I don't know what the right way to ask it, but like duration of goal, like, because I know I've sometimes gotten derailed by like planning a whole year, thinking, versus like a smaller. So I don't know what you recommend to people. What have you seen be more successful in actually achieving?
And that's a great question, because I think it does depend a little bit about how long someone's been in business. When you're newer in business within your first 3 years, it's very, very hard to see beyond the first 90 days at a time. That's, our ability to forecast, our ability to kind of see and put ourselves into that future is right around 90 days. The longer we've been in business and the more history we have, the more that we can look at trend and past information, we're able to use that and we can actually look further ahead. So I think it is a combination of length of time, maturity in business, and also, are you keeping records of what has happened in the past to inform how quickly you're able to make things happen in the future? So for someone who does not track their, finances or track, clients, or, they're really not into tangible things like that, numbers and so forth, it's even harder for them to plan, because they sometimes are really out of alignment with where they are. So when they say, oh yeah, I'm going to make 50,000 this quarter, well, that's great. How much did you make last quarter? Let's go back and let's see, is that realistic? Not to say it's not possible, but we want to make sure that it's realistic. So that's one of the harder things about this. I like to do a 12-month, and then I like to do my quarterly milestones, and then I like to do a month at a time, and say, to make that quarterly milestone happen, this kind of like place and time, and in order to stay on track for the year, what needs to be true? Like by the end of March 2018, what needs to be true? And for that to be true, what needs to be true for each of those months? So you need to continue shrinking down the time to say, well, for that to happen by the end of January, what needs to be true? Like if having, X amount of clients, or being booked out, or having, a wait list, what needs to be true? How many discovery calls do you need to be making? How many inquiries need to be on your calendar every week to make that almost a foregone conclusion? So it's a matter of saying, yeah, great, have a goal, but also break it down into smaller increments of time and do daily actions that are going to work you toward that achievement.
I love that, because then you can see very quickly if it's a little bit unrealistic.
Yeah. And you know what? And there's nothing wrong with dreaming big. I love to dream big. That's where the excitement comes in, butterflies in the stomach, right? And you're just like, oh, I can smell and taste that success. It's right there. And it's true, it is. And it can happen more quickly, but we also need to keep in mind that we can only grow at a pace that that is believable for us to actually grow. Otherwise, we'll just, we fall off the wagon, right?
Yeah. And I think like this is one area where it helps so much having support of some kind.
Oh,
when you're starting. Like, did you ever get support along the way?
I did. Pretty quickly within my first year of business, I had already started investing. I know a lot. Like I know, a lot around, goal setting. I know I'm an action taker. I know how to be productive. I know all those things. And I was learning about business and, getting more savvy about what it's going to take to grow an online business versus a brick and mortar business, which is where I came from. So it was one of those things that it wasn't a matter of the knowledge that was lacking. It was an understanding of in what order do I need to be doing things. That is where I was getting hung up. I worked with a coach, and she's like, you're making great progress. And I said, well, why isn't it happening more quickly? And she's like, you're working like 6 months down the road too soon. Let's work on what you need to work on now. My focus was always, I want to be down there, right? I want to be further along. And I don't know if it was a combination of confidence or ego or whatever. I don't know what it was, but she kept saying, you're going to frustrate yourself. Stop doing that. You need to work on this, this, and this. And I was so very grateful. But at the time, all I heard was, you're not successful. This won't happen for you. I just heard the negative things.
Interesting. Yeah.
Oh yeah. But at the time, and I am just so grateful for her to say, stop doing what you're doing because you're not helping yourself. Work on this. Work on this.
So helpful.
Oh my gosh. So I totally am a big believer in having the right support at the right time. And that is really dependent upon a number of factors for sure, where you are in business for sure. Your support systems change over time. But there's some things that you need to have a community that you can count on that has your back and will hold your feet to the fire. You need not people that you can't be accountable to someone else, but you need to know someone else is paying attention to what you say you're doing. I think being accountable to our lists is great. When we say, hey, I'm going to be offering XYZ and you actually deliver on that, it's a great motivator to, keep moving forward for sure. Yeah.
I love that. This sounds also really relevant to the free gift that you have for the audience. So maybe you can talk a little bit more about what they can get from that gift.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things, in the time that I've been in business that I've noticed about my own entrepreneurial journey and the work that I've done with clients, is that we start getting frustrated and feel kind of frantic sometimes when we're trying to figure out what to do next in our business.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very similar to that coach I had way back at the beginning who said, stop working on the wrong things. Just stop it. and so over time, I realized what I was seeing with the clients that I was working with the people in my own, circle, with my own business building, was that businesses have phases. There's like 4 phases of business, and I realized that it would be helpful if someone could really say, okay, here in this phase, this is what you should be working on. Don't move on to this until these things are done.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, could someone just give this to me, like right from the get-go? How much time would I saved, right?
Yes.
Because, and so I created a quiz, and it leads to a resource that is, all I can tell you is, oh my gosh, I so wanted this. I wanted this back a few years ago, and I have clients now who are just like, why didn't you create this sooner, please? This would have been so helpful. And I said, yes, I agree. Powerful. But it's powerful because it really, it just is almost like, of course, that's why I'm frustrated. I'm working on the wrong stuff. Okay. I'm trying to fill my client roster, but now I'm also building out like a $2,000 course. No wonder I'm not getting anything done. You can't, it's like, okay, what do you need to do first? You need to be bringing in
cash flow going in, probably.
Yeah, because we know that once you get your client roster filled, that feeling of scarcity starts diminishing. You have your own process of delivering value and getting transformation for your clients that you're going to systematize and do even better over and over. And you can build that into a wonderful program. But, let's get those clients first. So anyway, long story short, I created a quiz that leads to a series of resources. And it's really about, are you focusing on the right things to grow your business? That's what it is.
I mean, I think this is helpful at any level. And I mean, and it already has 4 categories. So I think anybody could get something out of this to just check in and see if they're doing the right thing for where they're at.
Exactly. And in addition, if you have a new offer, you're almost like starting at the beginning. You're checking these things off. Do I have these things in place? Because we try to go to 0 to 60 really quickly, and change in business model, bringing on new team members. All these things are new experiences for your business, and they go through the same process, but you'll probably go much more quickly. You've got the background. Things happen more quickly. Yes.
Yeah. I think what I'm thinking of is just making a comment on how, like, when you're first starting out, I'm thinking of those people that are earlier on. It's easy to just kind of, I know for me, I would latch on to what other people are doing, like thinking, oh, I need to do the course or whatever. But it's like, they're in their, second year and third year, fourth year, and you're only in the beginning, but you see that they're doing, so you think that's what I need to do versus taking that time. So it's like focusing too much on what you need to be offering versus like how, to your point, like how are you going to like get them results? What results are you getting? Because that's when it's going to really build you up quicker, is that you're actually getting, whatever result it is.
Exactly. Because you could be so focused on the what, and you're not focused on the delivery of the result that you're saying that you can get people.
Yeah.
That, it doesn't matter how big your business is going to grow. It's not going to be that sustainable and profitable business that you want, because that is not in place yet.
Yes, totally. So if you want that quiz, watching this right now, and you want that quiz, it is linked below. I highly recommend it. And also it's linked in the email where you got this interview sent to you. Definitely check that out. And plus, quizzes are fun.
Oh, they are. They are.
Right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're at our time, but thank you so much, Kathryn, for all the insight. I really appreciate it. I love your energy, and I love doing this with you on it's basically happy hour for us. We're filming this on Friday at 5 p.m. your time. So
right.
It was
right. Well, thank you so much, Holly. I had a great time talking about everything about entrepreneurial journey. Is so much fun to talk about. So thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, no problem. And talk to you later. All right. Bye, everybody. Check your email for the next interview. Thanks.